From the land of frozen lakes, this is 10,000 Takes, brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Twin Cities sports scene. And we're on television again, normally radio, but this is 10K Takes, the TV show.
And a muddled sports scene in the Twin Cities right now. You've got the Wild on a winning streak. You've got the Timberwolves on a winning streak. The Vikings hire a coach. All this stuff happening. Gopher men's basketball.
On a losing streak.
Yeah, they're in a funk right now.
Well, they're near the bottom.
Yeah, what? They've lost like 9 out of 10?
They're just north of Nebraska, who they play Wednesday. And by the way, the Cornhuskers, winless in the Big Ten. So maybe they can snap this skid.
Is that game in Lincoln?
It's in Lincoln.
Oh, well. Let's hope so anyway. I mean, they were ahead at the half.
Yeah, they played Iowa pretty well, but then about the last half of the second half, the Hawkeyes pulled away, and it was the same old story, and they go down in a ball of flames, 71-59. So
yeah, even a half-court shot at halftime didn't save.
Yeah, you would have thought that buzzer beater, it should have counted for 4.
Well, they needed it to count for about 12.
That's true.
That might have helped.
Yeah, they had the Hawkeyes on the ropes for a while, but that turned out to be fool's gold.
Yeah. I spent Sunday afternoon at Target Center. I went and watched your Timberwolves play. And it's funny because when you watch the Minnesota Timberwolves, you always get the feeling that at some point along the way, they're going to lose the basketball game, right? I mean, this has been going on for years.
Decades.
Yes, decades. That's true. But Sunday afternoon, I got the feeling that the shoe was on the other foot. Even though Detroit hung in there and they had a lead here and there, or it was, just a 2-4 point game, whatever it was, I got the feeling that the Wolves were kind of toying with them. And I don't know if that's the right terminology, but you just knew in the end that the Wolves were going to win that basketball game. Now Detroit's not very good. Let's put all the cards on the table.
No, they're a bottom feeder in the East. But I will say this. It's a sign of growth for a young team when you take care of business against the bad teams.
Yes.
Because they beat Detroit a few days earlier in Michigan. Then they get the back end of the home in Minnesota. And you're right, it was a competitive game, but they were able to get the victory. And Karl Anthony Towns, I think, really is raising his game to another level. He's an all-star. Justifiably so. I mean, he's an elite player in the NBA. And I've said all along, if Cat really wants to get on that stage with the superstars that are household names in the association, get to the postseason and win a round or two or more. And suddenly you're going to see Cat blow up. They're not quite there yet, but you know what? This team is playoff bound. I really believe that.
No, they are going to be in the postseason, whether they're in that play-in tournament or whatever it is. They're going to be in the postseason. You mentioned Cat, and it's interesting because in watching him on Sunday, I thought he didn't just come down and pull up on those threes like he tends to do when they're either playing a team that maybe he's trying to beat all by himself or they feels like there's trouble. He only did that a couple of times. Now, he hit a couple of big shots, and I thought he played really well. But Cat is more becoming he like a distributor beyond just scoring, too. So he's holding the ball, waiting for guys to make their cuts, looking for that extra guy. And then if it's nobody's there, then he's going to the hoop. Or he just goes to the hoop.
Well, and I think he has a belief in his teammates.
Yes.
I think this is a deeper team than maybe we thought at the beginning of the year. Obviously, D'Lo's playing better. Malik Beasley, Ant, you can go on and on down that roster. I saw some explosion plays where he took the rock right to the rack like the old-fashioned big guy would do and just power jam.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like that.
Right. And he looked like a big guy in control of the game. Now, again, it might have been the opponent, but I think overall his play is a lot better. And you mentioned he's going to be with the elite stars. Well, he will be. He is their representative in the All-Star game, and rightly so. He's playing at an All-Star level right now, and it's helping carry the Wolves. Like I said, 4 straight wins heading into Sacramento.
He's already now, I mean, the Timberwolves in their checkered history, they don't have a lot of guys. I don't think they can form a Mount Rushmore. That's how bad it's been. But certainly KG, Kevin Love. Now I think Cat's right there in the Kevin Love category. And if he continues, he may get near where KG is.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Okay, this week, obviously, it's Super Bowl week. And we're going to have a guest a little bit later on, a member of the Los Angeles Rams, Chris Garrett, who played his college football here in the Twin Cities, in Concordia-St. Paul. But the hook for Minnesota, obviously, is that the offensive coordinator for the Rams is going to be their head coach. Not official yet. It'll come, about a week after the Super Bowl is over.
I would say this. If you're a Los Angeles Rams fan, you better hope Kevin O'Connell is 100% laser focused and dialed in on the Cincinnati Bengals. But that's almost impossible to do. We've seen this play out now for decades in the NFL, where a hotshot coordinator gets a head coaching job. They're in the Super Bowl, but they already know they have a gig after it. And they're really, they're in no man's land in some ways.
Right.
We saw it here in Minnesota with Brian Billick when he was with Denny Green, and they lost that crushing NFC title game to Atlanta.
The Gary Anderson miss.
Yep, exactly. Now, Billick didn't have the job at that time, but we knew he was either going to the Baltimore Ravens or your Cleveland Browns. And you and I were in the locker room at the Metrodome after that soul-crushing loss to the Falcons, and he was entertaining writers from Baltimore and Cleveland talking about where he was going to go and what he was going to do. The Vikings' toe had not even been tagged. They weren't even sent to the morgue yet, and Billick had checked out. The Rams better hope O'Connell doesn't do that.
Yeah, that locker room was dead silent, except for Brian Billick talking to a throng of media about his new gig.
It was awkward to me, and I was just listening.
Yeah, I agree.
And now Billick, great coach, and he won a Super Bowl in Baltimore. I just thought he should have waited a day.
Yeah, well, we'll see how Kevin O'Connell handles it after the Super Bowl in 1 week. Whether they win or whether they lose, either way, it's an awkward situation I think the NFL has to address.
Yeah, the NFL has a lot of issues with the whole head coaching scene regarding the lack of hiring of qualified African Americans.
Right.
That's how I would put it, qualified.
Right.
Because Kevin O'Connell's resume is no better than Eric Bieniemy's. I would argue it's not as impressive. Now, if he gets that Super Bowl ring, he rises up a notch. But my point is, he doesn't call plays. That's Sean McVay.
Right.
And that's always been the knock on Eric Bieniemy down in Kansas City. Well, Andy Reid calls the plays. So the NFL, they've got a big conundrum. And Brian Flores has turned over the rock. And now all the lizards and the bugs are scattering.
Yes, they are. And should the Vikings have hired Jim Harbaugh? He wanted to be here. They didn't want him. Of course, he'd been to 3 straight NFC championship games back in his day.
Well, you wouldn't want that.
We wouldn't want that at all.
Well, you wouldn't want a commanding presence, a guy who might come in and be abrasive and be the loudest voice in the room. You wouldn't want that, would you?
No, can't have that.
All right, stick around. A lot more coming up. We are 10K Takes your Super Bowl ticket.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision. It's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
From the first time you pick up a tuned-up custom rod, you'll know you're holding something special. A rod not mass-produced, but built one at a time by the hands of gifted craftsmen. Rods like the Precision, ice fishing's most versatile multi-species rod, or the Precision Noodle with a tip so sensitive you'll never fish a spring bobber again. And the Commander, the rod that's never met a big fish it couldn't best. Tuned-up custom rods. Ice rods handcrafted for you and the way you fish.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Then you should be talking to Dave Jensen and Cross Country Mortgage at mortgagesbydave.com. When you come to Dave, he begins by listening and can offer you a home loan that's right for you. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a long-time homeowner, Mortgages by Dave will be with you every step of the way. So whether you're buying or refinancing, apply online at mortgagesbydave.com or call and he'll answer at 612-384-3283. Online at mortgagesbydave.com. Wally and Eric, 10,000 takes. And Eric, the Minnesota Wild have been on a bit of a roll themselves. Of course, it got halted by the NHL All-Star break, so to speak. So let's talk some Minnesota Wild, and we are joined now by NHL.com Minnesota Wild beat writer Jessi Pierce. And Jessi, you're wild, and I'm going to call him You're Wild because as much of a reporter as you are, I know you're one of those people that just loves to see them win hockey games. And right now, 9 of their last 10. That's a pretty good run.
It's not too bad, right? I mean, they're winning in such exciting, exhilarating fashion, right? Too, they're fun games to watch. The offense is surging. Not just Kirill Kaprizov, not just Matt Zuccarello. You've got Nico Sturm jumping in there. You've got Joel Eriksson, Greenway, and Marcus Foligno. That line back intact. I mean, the depth, despite what some on the outside of Minnesota might think, is really there, and that's contributing to the reason that they're 6 straight. And as you'd mentioned, 9 of their past 10. It's a good record to come back out of the break with.
Yeah, Jessi, the only hiccup was New Year's Day in the minus 10-degree temps at Target Field in the Winter Classic. Since then, they've been sizzling hot. And let's give some kudos to the regime. Bill Guerin, GM, Dean Evison, head coach, and his staff. So far, they've pushed all the right buttons, haven't they?
I mean, I think like many this offseason, some of the moves that Bill Guerin was making, I kind of questioned them. You knew that there were going to be holes on the blue line, and it seemed like he kind of went to what I was calling the discount bin for some of these guys. Your John Merrill, your Dmitry Kulikov, your Jordy Benz, and I was kind of like, is that going to work? Well, trust in Bill we do, right? I mean, he certainly has proven John Merrill really stepping up when Jared Spurgeon's down, when Jonas Brodin was down. Again, that blue line's back and healthy, which is absolutely tremendous. And all in all, he's doing the right thing. They extend Dean Evson and the entire coaching staff. What I thought was really important to note of that is Dean Evson did not want his extension announced until the rest of the coaching staff was secure. So the same preach of teamwork and team in general, work ethic that he has in the locker room, Dean extends to his coaching staff.
To be clear, you're working from home, obviously.
She's making a line change.
Line change quick. Yes, sorry. I can keep rolling. I can ignore them, but I don't know.
You got new skaters on the ice.
Yeah, I know. You're changing on the fly. That's what we like.
Yes.
Okay. Cam Talbot got an invite to the All-Star game, played this past All-Star weekend. Had the injury, has had some ups and downs this season, but did get the All-Star invite and apparently played well there. I didn't watch the skills competition or anything, but everything I read, he seemed like he had a good weekend.
He did. I mean, the All-Star game itself, I think he really stood on his head, made some really impressive saves against, obviously, All-Star caliber offense. I think Cam is kind of what you're going to get and what Bill Guerin had signed him for 2 years now. He's kind of just there. He's good, right? And he can be really exceptional, but he's not a guy that's necessarily going to steal you any games. And we've been a witness to that this year. He got his first shutout right before the break, which is great, but your first shutout in 41 games, definitely a little different. But yeah, he's absolutely fine. I mean, as you mentioned, he's back from injury. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He is one of the older goaltenders on the scene. So the main thing is just staying healthy for him.
Tuesday night, Minnesota at Winnipeg. I think the big story here is they're going back to Canada. Cross-border travel is now allowed. I don't know if it's that convoy in Ottawa where they're protesting COVID policies to the north of us, but they're going back to Winnipeg, Manitoba. So is everything normal in the NHL?
I mean, as normal as it's going to get in the fluidity of COVID, right? I mean, again, I think the NHL has been handling this really well. At the end of January here, they did kind of reconfigure the restrictions as far as COVID goes, as far as testing goes, different protocols, keeping in mind that Canada obviously has its own restrictions, has its own thing. I believe fans are absent from the games, which obviously all teams played under that last year. So that'll be a little bit different though, especially in Winnipeg, which usually gets rocking, right? I mean, that's a hard facility to play in. So while it might be nice to go in as a visiting team in Winnipeg without that home crowd, it's also probably going to be a little different. And not to mention, again, you're coming out of a break. So it's going to be, they're going to have to get their legs underneath them very, very quick and be ready to go from puck drop.
You mentioned Kirill Kaprizov a little bit earlier. Has the NHL teams that they're playing against, have they made special arrangements now when they play against Kirill Kaprizov? Are you seeing that change as opposed to maybe from a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think you even started to see that a year ago, right? They're shutting him down. Go back to the playoffs in Vegas, and Kirill Kaprizov. I think it's not that it's difficult for him because he's used to being that guy, right? When he was with Russia, he was the guy that they were shutting down. So it's not necessarily new, but in the NHL scene, it was different. And you saw him struggle with that again in the playoffs. He really struggled this year. It seems like he's just being Kirill. He's like, oh, that creative move didn't work. I'll try this, or I'll dangle here, or I'll cycle. I mean, when he was literally circling the Montreal Canadiens and just cycling over and over, I mean, it's just fun to watch. But I think, again, that goes back to the depth, right? They're going to shut down Kirill Kaprizov. Well, you got line 2 to step up, line 3 to step up, even line 4 has stepped up. So it's something that really speaks well of this Minnesota Wild team as a whole. Yes, you have your superstars like Kirill, like Zuccarello, like Kevin Fiala, who's recently gotten hot, but you also have those backup guys who are ready and willing to step up when Kirill's getting shut down.
So Kirill is the 4th fastest active player to get to 100 points in the NHL. Where is he now in the galaxy of stars in the NHL? I realize, Jessi, he hasn't been in the National Hockey League that long, but I get the feeling he's elite already.
I mean, I think he's on pace for 108 points so far. And I mean, for a kid in his second year, that's absolutely tremendous because the sophomore slump is real and can absolutely be real. But I think he's in the conversation. I know in Minnesota, we obviously have known about him. We've been talking about him. We're excited, but not on a national level. He is now elite, and he's definitely very, very skilled. It's been fun to see him go up against some of those other elite talents. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see him go up against Ovechkin or McDavid just yet, but it's going to be so much fun to watch superstar versus superstar. And I think the NHL is recognizing that they definitely have something special in Kirill Kaprizov and in the Minnesota Wild.
All right, Jessi, we appreciate you spending some time with us. We really appreciate the moving background and the children sliding in and out of the shot and everything else that we've gotten with this. So have a great day, and we will talk to you again down the road.
Thanks, guys. I'll get a lock next time, I promise.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
Whatever it takes. All right, she is Jessi Pierce from NHL.com. Coming up next, we're going to talk some Super Bowl with a member of the Los Angeles Rams. Stay with us.
From the first time you pick up a tuned-up custom rod, you'll know you're holding something special. A rod not mass-produced, but built one at a time by the hands of gifted craftsmen. Rods like the Precision, ice fishing's most versatile multi-species rod, or the Precision Noodle with a tip so sensitive you'll never fish a spring bobber again. And the Commander, the rod that's never met a big fish it couldn't best. Tuned up custom rods. Ice rods handcrafted for you and the way you fish.
Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Then you should be talking to Dave Jensen and Cross Country Mortgage at mortgagesbydave.com. When you come to Dave, he begins by listening and can offer you a home loan that's right for you. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a long-time homeowner, Mortgages by Dave will be with you every step of the way. So whether you're buying or refinancing, apply online at mortgagesbydave.com or call and he'll answer at 612-384-3283. Online at mortgagesbydave.com.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
$10K takes, Wally and Eric, and we're going to talk some Super Bowl now with a guy who played his college football at Concordia-St. Paul. Chris Garrett, defensive end for Concordia-St. Paul, has now moved to linebacker, and he's playing for the Los Angeles Rams, who are going to be in Super Bowl 56 on Sunday. And Chris, you've been a member of this Rams team all season long. What makes this team special? Why is this team in the Super Bowl?
The leaders. It's so many leaders. Like the guys that are at the bottom are leaders. Everybody's leaders on this team, and it's crazy. So it's not too much dragging along people have to do. And also everybody wants to be great. You see it with how many guys are coming in early, the extra work, taking care of the body, the coaching staff, they really care about you and they want you, they want the best for us. And you can see that and our preparation and the way that we just go about our business. You come into the building, anybody can see it for sure.
And Chris, earlier in the season, I saw a quote attributed to your head coach, Sean McVay, saying that in your case, it's all about repetition. Doing things over and over again is what is going to make you better. I'm sure you see that from Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford. Is that the mindset on the Rams?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is all about repetition. I was out for a whole year, and then to come back and to make the team, I think that was a pretty cool accomplishment for me to do as a 7th round pick too. So and the coaches saw that, like, this guy just keeps getting better. So, and to see the guys on this team doing it, it's like, I know I can do it because it's just hard work. There's no substitute for it. They come in every single day and bring in everything that they have.
Now, even though you haven't played much this year, it's been a long season. Do you think that you've been able to make some progress even though you're not playing regularly?
Yeah, so I didn't know what was going on. You know, I made the team, and then there was a lot of adjustments to the team. I didn't know what was going to happen, if I was going to get cut or not. But through the course of the year, just them being consistent and keeping me on the roster, even with, at one point, there were 7 outside linebackers when we usually carry 5. They just made it clear, like, this is your role. You're going to be on the team. Just keep getting better. And you can ask any of my coaches. That's all I've been doing. It's just now I've embraced my role, and it's just time for me to watch, learn, continue to take steps in the right direction. And when my number's called, I'm be ready whenever that is.
Chris, you're from Milwaukee. You played college football in the Twin Cities. Now you're out in SoCal. Do you enjoy it?
Absolutely. For one, the weather is amazing. That goes without saying. It's beautiful out right now. And so, yeah, I definitely am enjoying it. Not being in school, having to focus on, classes and stuff like that, that makes it a lot easier. I'm having a lot of fun with these guys and this team for sure. And I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. So this is awesome.
Well, we saw Matthew Stafford here as a member of the Detroit Lions when they came into Metrodome and into US Bank Stadium. You see him every day from the other side of the ball in practice. What makes Matthew Stafford special?
He's him and Coach McVay's relationship is crazy. You can see that Stafford is super coachable. He takes it like a man every single time. And also his mind is a lot like McVay's, in my opinion, where he's like, okay, let me make this adjustment. What about this? And it's constant communication between the two. So he's a workhorse too. He continues to work. He wants to continue to work through defenses and know, like, what he's going to see every single game. And he takes adjustments really well. So.
Yeah, Chris, when the Super Bowl dust settles, Kevin O'Connell, the offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams, will then become the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. What's going to make him a good head coach for the Purple?
Him and McVay, they work, they're hand in hand, offensive coordinator. And his mind, just like McVay's, runs 1,000,000 miles per hour. And obviously I don't see him as much, but I'm sure he would be amazing for the Vikings, no doubt.
So when you look back at your college career playing college football at Division II Concordia-St. Paul, do you have any regrets? Do you look back fondly at your time of Concordia? Did that help you get where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. There was times where I prayed about, because I know there was opportunities for me to jump up a level or whatever, but I prayed about it and I knew it was where God had me. But no doubt I knew it was where I was supposed to be. The relationships that I built, the coaching that I got was, even looking back at it now, is exactly what I needed at the time for me to be. Who knows where I would be if I went to a Wisconsin or Illinois or something like that. I think being at Concordia was exactly what I needed to be, getting those reps constantly and constantly growing and shining where I was.
Chris, the Super Bowl is the biggest single-day sporting spectacle on earth. So what's the build-up and hype been like for Sunday's game?
Yeah, it's amazing. I know a lot of my teammates have been to the Super Bowl because were on that 2019 season. So a lot of them is just walking us through it, trying to figure out like family situations for the game and just what it's going to look like with the media and stuff like that, and trying to stay focused. That's our main point of emphasis right now. Let's stay focused. One more game. It's not about all this other stuff. It's about getting the game, winning this game. But it's pretty amazing. We're just trying to stay where we are and also be excited about this experience. I'm just learning from these guys, honestly, just trying to continue to embrace everything, not let this time slip by because it is exciting. But it's been pretty cool just getting to have, talk with you guys and other people and just media stuff. It's been a special experience for sure.
All right. Thanks, Chris. He is Chris Garrett, linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams here on 10,000 Takes. Takes of the day coming up next, right after this timeout. Thinking about buying or refinancing a home? Then you should be talking to Dave Jensen and Cross Country Mortgage at mortgagesbydave.com. When you come to Dave, he begins by listening and can offer you a home loan that's right for you. Whether you're a first-time buyer or a long-time homeowner, Mortgages by Dave will be with you every step of the way. So whether you're buying or refinancing, apply online at mortgagesbydave.com or call and he'll answer at 612-384-3283. Online at mortgagesbydave.com.
From the first time you pick up a tuned-up custom rod, you'll know you're holding something special. A rod not mass-produced, but built one at a time by the hands of gifted craftsmen. Rods like the Precision, ice fishing's most versatile multi-species rod, or the Precision Noodle with a tip so sensitive you'll never fish a spring bobber again. And the Commander, the rod that's never met a big fish it couldn't best. Tuned-up custom rods. Ice rods handcrafted for you and the way you fish.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya?
Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10K Takes on television. It has been a power-packed program today, so we will get right into takes of the day. Are you a cranky Yankee, angry American? Maybe you're Captain Sunshine. What's it going to be?
Well, I know how you spent your Sunday. You held a Pro Bowl party at your house.
Yeah.
Super Bowl party, Pro Bowl party at the Nelson household. Got all the folks gathered around and watched that touch football
We ran
game.
out of salsa.
Yep. And what makes it worse this year, it was the first ever indoor Pro Bowl. So not only was it the Pro Bowl, but it was an indoor Pro Bowl. You can't even enjoy the sunshine. I enjoyed it a couple of years ago. I went down to Orlando, got to sit in the sun. There was a little bit of tackling. Boy, these guys are wearing shorts. I think it's time that maybe they just get rid of the Pro Bowl. I've always been kind of a proponent. I like the old All-Star game. It has gotten worse and worse every year, but it's fine for the fans who are actually there. So I'll leave it at that. If you go to the game, it's okay. It's fun. It's a fun fan experience, but please don't waste any time watching it on television like you did at your Pro Bowl party.
Well, by the way, there was more contact in the lingerie bowl a few years ago. He is a cranky Yankee. That's his designation today. All right, well, my take of the day, what's happened to the Super Bowl logo? They've gone generic. You got to look really close at this year's logo even to see the palm trees that I'm guessing are symbolic of SoCal. Doesn't say Los Angeles, though. And back in the day, the NFL used to be creative. Each Super Bowl logo was different. It was very representative of where the game was being played. So I don't like this vanilla look. Come on, NFL. You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You can do better than that.
Yeah, the logo is kind of generic.
Yeah, boring.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's FedEx out those thank yous, of course, to our great crew, also under Rocky, Jessi Pierce, and Chris Garrett. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your Super Bowl ticket.